Welcome to School of Miracles. I'm Heather Scavetta. Today I wanted to talk about spirit guides, and we do have many different spirit guides, different for each person. But I wanted to talk about some of the principles of why we have guides and what they do for us. And I wanted to share a spirit guide reading that I did a while ago that helps us understand the variations of spirit guides, but also something that maybe we haven't thought of. And I love when I do readings because I always learn something new. And this reading was no exception to that. So I did a reading for a lady, and her spirit guide came through. Now, sometimes spirit guides can be a single entity. Sometimes they can be a group. These were a group of beings whose bodies were transparent, and they had crystal wings. And they came forward in such a gentle manner, and they described themselves as being fragile and how life is fragile. How 1 minute we can be here and 1 minute we'll be on the other side. And oftentimes when we receive messages from guides or spirit, they always talk to us mostly about how strong we are, how we can be strong, how there's strength in love, strength in unity. And we do get a lot of those positive messages about strength. But these spirit guides came forward to remind this lady, who is strong, that it's okay for her to also be fragile. Just like the transparent beings with the crystal wings are fragile, they represent that energy in her. And our spirit guides do represent ourselves in different ways. Sometimes a spirit guide can remind us of who we are. Other times they can help us get there. So if we don't feel strong, they may remind us that we're strong so that one day we can be strong and recognize that. But here they are coming forward, reminding this lady that she is also fragile, that this is also part of her being, part of herself. And that's another purpose that spirit guides can bring to us, is to remind us about all the aspects of ourselves. And so if you wanted to know more about yourself and the different aspects that you are, you could actually ask your spirit guide to come forward and to show you that. And it would probably be a surprise to you. So here are these beings of light reminding us that life is fragile, that we can also be fragile in our lives. They also reminded us that love is courageous and strong, but also fragile. That we can hold love in a gentle way, in a subtle way. And love can also break our heart. And to embrace all of that. And to remind us that we don't need to think in black and white terms, that most often life is gray. That it doesn't have to be an extreme one way or an extreme another. And that we can marry the two, the fragility of ourselves and the strength of ourselves together. So for those of you who may feel that you're, quote, too sensitive, or that you feel fragile in some way, and that perhaps you have failed in some way, these crystal beings are here to remind you that that is not the case. That to be fragile is also to be real, to be human, and that it can be a part of yourself that needs to be acknowledged, that needs to be incorporated, not pushed away. So how can we do that? Oftentimes we use the physical world to remind us of the truth, remind us of spirit where we also reside. And so they were suggesting to this lady that she find a symbol, maybe something that she carries or wears or looks at that reminds her of her fragility, and to embrace it. Or perhaps do some type of a ritual around accepting your fragility. So it may be a prayer. It could be a little routine that you do, or some type of a reminder. Maybe do something that nurtures yourself and helps to accept that fragility. The day before I did this reading, I had 2 birds hit the window, which I'm a real animal lover, and it's just a horrific event for me. But also two birds, which was really unusual. So one I could see had already passed away, and the other one was still alive. So I brought the red-winged blackbird into my home, gave it some Reiki, said some prayers over it, and kind of kept it quiet. And before too long, it looked like it had perked up, and I took it back outside and it flew away. Isn't it interesting that one died and one didn't? So the fragility of life right there. And in my own life, I have twin girls, and when they were in an accident, one died, one survived. And never in a moment like that do you not feel the fragility of life, that you could be breathing one minute and not the next. And so to understand that life is fragile is not to bring fear upon us, but for us to recognize that we only have so much time in this current life experience, in this body, with the people we love, and to treasure that time. And I think the fact that we know we aren't in this physical body forever helps us to treasure life a little bit more, not take it for granted, and to really relish those times and the time that we have here. So the overall message of this spirit guide reading was to remind us to embrace the fragility of life, to accept it, but also to accept the fragility of ourselves. That it is a positive thing to understand all the aspects of ourself and to incorporate them in our life. So the next time you sense that fragility, instead of pushing it away, bring it closer. You could even ask it what it's come to teach you. And to recognize that we are more complex than we think at times. So I hope that this may encourage you to get to know your spirit guides a little bit better, because they do a lot more than we think they do or can. For instance, these crystal beings of light also said that they come close to her and touch her and help her to feel calm and to help her recognize that fragility and to accept it. So it's not just knowing their name and face and what they do. It's also to recognize the energy that they share with us, whether it be fragility, strength, definitely love. When you feel you want to know a little bit more about yourself, definitely your spirit guides are there to help you if you can listen and pay attention. So thank you so much for listening today, and I wish you all the best, and I hope you join me next time. And keep in mind that I do spirit guide readings online on Zoom, and you can find the link in my website, schoolofmiracles.ca. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.